More than I need, what you want, girl, it's yours. Give me your feelings, I just can't ignore. 'Cause all I want is you, baby. Give me your time, all your love, I've been patient.
What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Russell the Fourth.
Hey everybody, it's me, Brandy.
And welcome to another episode of the What They Never Told Us podcast. We back. And glad to be back. A much longer hiatus this time around because we missed our weekly kickback.
Hiatus is a little stretch, but yeah. We had a lot. It was a lot going on last week.
It was.
We got into an accident. For people who aren't on our personal social media, you wouldn't know that, but Russell got into a really bad accident.
Man.
You would never be able to tell because the grace of God is on his life.
Look here.
But totaled his car.
Yeah, my baby gone. Car gone. I'm out here really bumming it up, hitching rides.
Oh, whatever. You ain't hitching a ride.
Man, so yeah, that was crazy. A few takeaways. Number one, God is good, but y'all should already know that. If you don't, he is.
All the time.
Number two, airbags are a gift from God and a spawn of Satan at the same time. Because them boys pack a mean punch. And what else? I think that's it.
I was in all the car accidents that I have been in that were bad like that were before airbags were invented, or at least my mama car ain't had none.
You been to bad car accidents before?
Yes, my mom, and my cousin and my baby cousin got into a really bad accident. Same scenario. We have the right of way going down. It was I think it was Blackstone. We was going down, and a guy had the stop sign, just blew through the stop sign, but he hit us. Hit on my cousin. She was sitting in the passenger side, spin the car around. My mom broke 2 ribs.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was before
Sheesh.
airbags were invented. So it was a really bad.
You
accident.
need to Google fact check when airbags were invented.
Well, maybe not invented, but the
car
that
that
she was in, her little Ford Escort didn't have no.
All right, I'm with you now. Okay. Yeah, man, that was crazy. That was crazy, but God is good. So because of that, usually that soreness kicks in a couple of days later. I just wasn't in shape to go live on Wednesday. What day did it happen?
On Tuesday.
Happened on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, happened on Tuesday. And on Wednesday, I just wasn't in shape for it. So thank y'all so much for y'all grace, giving us a pass on that. All the people who responded to the message that we put out on the Facebook page were really supportive. Like, we completely understand. Take your time. We glad you're here. So shout out to y'all. That's why we call y'all family, because y'all hold us down.
Something that I realized in that accident is like, I don't know if it's like an inability, but I don't cry. Like when certain situations you just would expect somebody to like be tearful or be like, I don't get that. I don't know if it's like a brick wall in the inside of me, but I didn't have there was no part of me until I saw that you were okay. And then I got my heart was beating fast and stuff like that. I was feeling overwhelmed, but it wasn't like tears. My son went away. Our oldest went away to Hawaii yesterday. And everybody was like, did you cry? Everybody was calling to check on me. Are you all right? I'm like, it's nothing in me that's like, this moment makes me want to cry. When my babies were born, none of that.
Yeah, I've seen the stuff that you cry at, and it doesn't make any sense. It's the stupidest thing in the world.
That is not true.
But y'all, so look. I'm not saying nothing's wrong with you, okay? Everybody's emotions work different. But your son leaves to go to Hawaii. You've raised him all your life. He goes across the world. It's officially him launching into adulthood in grand fashion.
Yeah.
Nothing makes you want to cry. But you'll watch a documentary about Asian babies walking in their neighborhoods for the first time. Children you don't know that you did not raise.
It wasn't sad, but it was like, I don't know what it is.
I've seen the stuff you cry at, and it's so stupid. I'll be like,
what is that show called?
I ain't gonna lie.
I need to make a recommendation.
Hold on. No, this ain't about that. Stay focused.
So cute.
I ain't gonna lie to you. There's a little bit of judgment when I see the stuff you cry. We'll be watching something, I'll be like, really? wedding day, this day, nothing, no tears, nothing. But this is what you cry at. I ain't gonna lie.
I don't know what's wrong with me. I literally was on my way back from the airport because Russell was gone. And so I had to drop him off alone. And I was like, I was praying and I was talking to God. Like, if there is like something in me that has shut off those emotions, like I'm asking you to bring it back to me because I want to be sentimental. I want to be vulnerable. I want to be in touch like that. But it just don't exist. I don't know.
I have a theory. I think you're extremely emotional.
I am.
I think you're extremely emotional.
My tear ducts don't work.
No, they do. I think that your expression in certain scenarios is like locked down in a vault. I think you keep them so safeguarded because they're so big. Like, for instance, when I see you in church, your expression of emotion is big.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The moments that I have seen you cry, it's been a very big expression of emotion. Yeah. I don't think you're comfortable with that.
You let somebody be in church and get delivered. I don't care if I don't even know them. I'm crying. I'd be.
Well, that's the area you comfortable in. I think. Now this is good. I don't think we intended for this, but I think church is a safe space for you.
For sure.
I think there's some stuff you crying about on Sunday that might have happened on Monday. And like,
I don't feel that though.
Yeah, no. I mean,
maybe it's like sneaky the way that the Holy Spirit brings it out of me. But I really don't feel like when I am crying at church, it's literally either because I'm feeling the presence, I see somebody else getting their life or something like that. But I don't be thinking about, oh my God, Michael went away on Sunday and I just waited all the way till next Sunday to just let it out.
It's subconscious. It's subconscious. But so let me say this. Were there strong emotions around that?
I didn't feel sad.
No, not sad. It's just strong emotions in any regard.
Like, yeah.
Joy, happiness.
I felt happy. I felt proud. I felt a little nervous.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, like all the thoughts were in my head about because I mean, we know our son. He's not the most responsible. So I was thinking about all the things that could happen between Michigan and Hawaii, and he had to have a stop. And I was more overwhelmed with those thoughts. Like, okay, does he have everything he needs? Is he going to remember to call me? Stuff like that, the emotional part of me. But I sat here by myself all day and it never came out.
Yeah. I mean, everybody processes stuff different. I don't think there's a right or wrong way to do it. I am confused about how your emotions work. A little bit. I'm like,
me too.
I'll be in stuff like, you should cry about this, but okay, maybe not. Then we'll be having sex. You'll have orgasm.
Okay, that is totally involuntary.
Really?
That is totally
really?
involuntary.
This is what you cry about?
Hey, you should be happy about that.
Look at you.
Robbie,
this is ridiculous.
No, seriously, my grandmother was like this, so my grandma did not cry a lot. I mean, obviously she was there. She died when I think I was almost 30.
Mm-hmm.
And so my whole life hadn't seen her cry. Her oldest child died. And that was the first time I actually saw, and it was days like after the funeral and all that. She was just walking down the stairs and she just broke down. My mom's not really a crier, so it's not like something that I've seen. I didn't grow up with people like being very in touch with their emotions and I feel sad or I feel this, like that. Those conversations weren't happening in my house. And most of them just manned up and did what they had to do. So it wasn't like a very tearful, I didn't see a lot of tears. You know what I'm saying? And if you did cry when you was a kid, it's like, stop all that crying. You know what I'm saying?
Yo, I'm so glad. I am so glad that this generation of black folk have gotten out of the stigma of crying.
Yeah. Well, not really, but it's
more
breaking.
so, more so than
sure.
back in the day, because it was just taboo.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Tears were equated to softness.
Yeah.
Like, stop crying. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no. I mean, the times where I see you cry, I freeze up. Like, I get so awkward. Like,
well,
it's okay.
I was about to say, my mom's like that. My mom, like, she didn't cry at any of our births, like wedding day, none of that. And for instance, so I was in Virginia, as you guys know. We had a death in the family. My mom's oldest sister, Aunt Lou, passed away. So we went down there to be with her, support her, and be with family during that time. So, I wanted to make sure she was okay. But I was watching her, and she processed emotions a lot like you. Like, she was very much so concerned with everybody around her. She was trying to be there for her mom. She's man, we got to take care of this. We got to do this. We got to do that. And because of that, I think our emotions process differently.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I get worried that people think I don't care. And I think that's why I'm like,
don't second what
asking.
people think now.
No. I'm talking about not like them. I mean, love y'all, but not y'all.
Oh,
but
like me?
You and Michael and, the kids. Like, because it's moments where I feel like his graduation, you know what I'm saying? Like, you should feel this proud sense, and it comes out usually with
you did feel proud.
I did, but
yeah.
I mean, I don't want the lack of emotion or the lack of tears, I should say, to make somebody think that I don't care. So like, he was like, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? I'm like, I'm fine. When he was leaving, I'm fine. I'm cool. Like, okay, you're going to do good. You're fine. Like, I raised you for this. You can do this, And when I walked away from him, I looked back once, I took a picture, and I just kept walking. And then I got in the car like, should I have like lingered a little bit? Was he expecting me to cry? Like, why did he keep asking me if I was okay?
I think that's just the thing. Like of course, like I said, I was out of town, and all my family was asking where you were at, and I was like, our oldest is going off for a college program out in Hawaii. So he leaves on Sunday, so she wasn't able to make it. Mm-hmm. The first response is, "Oh, is she okay?" On Sunday, my mom was like, "Did my get off okay?" I was like, "Yeah, I talked to her this morning." She said, "Is she okay?" So I'm thinking like, "Okay, yeah, I don't know Brandon." Like, she is at home snoring, probably got a puddle of drool coming out of her mouth. But everybody processes stuff different. I think care is shown more in the long game, your actions, and not just in an expression of emotion. I would rather the act of love and care be shown in a day-to-day basis rather than in an expression of emotion. You know what I mean? Because my thing is like, if I see you doing all that, but I don't feel it, I'm going to be like, okay, all right.
You mean crying?
The dude that cheats on you every time and he be like, I just love you, girl. Like, oh, shut up. You know what I mean? Like, you don't mean that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So,
Does it ever feel like on our wedding day, you were pretty emotional,
I'm an emotional person. I'm like my dad. I think it's, but there's a piece of where it's just genetics, I really feel like that. People
just prone to crying.
People are wired differently. You know what I mean? Some people are more emotional and their emotions come out differently.
Sure.
I could have been like my mom, but me and my sister are like my dad. Like, I cried at there's not a sentimental movie that I haven't cried at. Lion King, Free Willy, when bro jumped over that rock and he was pointing up, I was like, bro, I swear to God. Like, I'm going to cry. But that's just how it comes out of me.
But does it feel weird when you are emotional in those moments where it's the both of us, we're experiencing something, you're emotional and I'm not? Is it hard? Because like I said, I get very awkward. Like, I don't know how to process it when you're crying. Not like a movie, that's something different, but when we share with each other and maybe you'll get emotional or whatever happens at the wedding or whatever, I'm like, oh, Randy, just cry, just do it, and I can't.
Having a conversation with yourself,
it's real. Like, I don't know,
this is a moment you're supposed to be crying.
If there are people out there that are like me, they understand where I'm saying, where it's like, you want to, like, on our wedding day, I felt all the feels. I wanted to just be like, oh my God, I just love you so much and I'm so happy. But it didn't come out that way.
I know you, and I don't expect anything else other than what, you are. And I think that's, on a bigger picture, I think that's what gets people in trouble when they have expectations that are so far apart from who this person has shown you to be. You know what I mean? Like I said, I want to feel loved and cared for in all the ways that matter, not just when, I think you're supposed to express it in a certain way. Like, nah. So, nah. I know who I am. I know who you are too. Like,
I need to get out of my head about it. I mean, it puts a lot of pressure on me. You do. That you're more emotional than I am. It puts a lot of pressure on me.
It puts pressure on me too. Nobody want to be the dude being emotional. I can't remember what it was. We was arguing about something, and I got emotional about it. I was like, yo, why would you think I would? Like for real, you think I would do that? You?
I'm gonna immediately shut down.
Like you. And I'm like, so how you think I feel? Like I'm sitting here crying and you like, yo nigga, tuck your skirt in, B.
I scooted over in the corner of the couch and was just like, okay, like
tuck your skirt in, B. Tuck your skirt in, B. What you crying for? You're like, what you crying for?
I don't be like that, but in my head I do like, oh my God, like.
I get emotional. So listen. I think the important thing is for people to be comfortable in their skin in their relationship. Like, you know who you with. You know I'm emotional. And I don't think your expression invalidates your emotions. I felt your emotions in that argument. It definitely was coming out in more like, hear me, like, da-da-da.
You got me messed up.
I had the same energy, but
it just came out different.
Yeah. And here's the thing, though. Tears aren't always the telltale sign of sadness. You can be sad and not shed a tear.
Yeah.
Things can make you sad and you not shed a tear. And like, I think that was one of the things that I had to like learn on my emotional intelligence journey is like, there's a lot of people who navigate the space of sadness differently. And sometimes sadness can look like anger.
For sure.
Sometimes sadness can look like frustration. You know what I mean?
Acting out or anything.
Yeah, like especially, and we were just talking about, kids who grow up in this day and age, especially in our day and age where crying was taboo. I can't tell you, I work with these kids for all of my adult life. And I can tell you how many kids are more comfortable putting their fist through a wall than shedding a tear.
Same. That would be me. For sure. Especially growing up. Yeah.
It's more acceptable. Anger is more acceptable than sadness because of people's view and education of sadness. It's equated with weakness. If you cry, you weak. No, like you have emotions and your understanding of them is more of a superpower than anything.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Growing up, I was one of those kids where, and this is weird too, and I think at some point it just got snatched out of me where, when you so mad that you start crying.
That's
like
always me.
Fight.
That's always me. I hated that too. Like, now I gotta fight you. I really would like to just shake your hand and walk away, but now I'm crying and I look soft, so you gonna have to catch these hands, bro.
Where you're just like, somebody's just gotten you that upset. Like, you're just at that point, and the only thing that you can do is cry. And at some point, that switched to, I'm just gonna put my hands on you.
Yeah.
And that's what lasted longer than the need to cry. And I grew up around a bunch of boys. So they was going to pick on me regardless. Like, I was just the target. And then if I started crying, I was even more of the target. It was like, all right, you crying? You a little baby. You need to go play with the girls. You know what I'm saying? So then it was like, all right, now I just got to fight you.
See, I wish I knew where the shut off button was. Like, because I still fought, but I still cried. I was just with my cousins. They told me, I was like, man, you remember one time you was crying? Man, you remember that one time you did it? I'm like, we was laughing about it, but it is what it is. Like, I don't know. I feel like I have been blessed. And I feel like the areas that God has placed me in, I've been able to navigate in a way that other people haven't because I'm so in touch with my emotion. Like, he placed me in the field of human service. You know what I mean? I work with people. I have to be able to navigate these emotions. And when you're aware of it, you know how to speak to it. You know what I mean? So I know when a kid is sitting in my office and his fists are clenched, I know it looks like anger, but you really sad. You know what I'm saying? Your mom's supposed to come for a visit. You've been locked up in the juvenile for 3 months. She said she can't come. And now I swear, if anybody say something to me, I'm going in there stuff. You're not angry.
You know how to process it.
You're sad. So instead of being like, hey, you need to calm down. It's, man, I'm so sorry, man. And it's like, bro, she ain't never cared. You know, and then like, then
nah, that's not funny.
Now you have the conversation. You know what I mean? And I think there's a lot of people that if they got more aware of their emotions, they'll know what you're expressing right now is what you're comfortable. Not necessarily that's the totality of what you're feeling. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think it's hard as that person who is not really in touch enough to identify every emotion. And I'm working on it, but To say I'm there is a severe understatement because I'm really in my head about like how I am supposed to respond in a moment. And I think at times it feels very inauthentic. Like I'm gonna have a truth moment right now. So when you proposed to me, everybody was like, "Oh, she cried," and I didn't want. Like I felt bad saying I wasn't crying. Like.
Why does it matter?
Well, everybody, I mean, it's an expected response. And whether you believe it or not, but there was just
Krabby's proposing to me.
I saw you crying, like, oh my God. And then you started crying. You were like, oh, baby. I just said, oh, baby. And it might have sounded like, but I did not cry. But I felt so bad saying to people, no, I wasn't actually crying. Like, it makes me look like an a-hole.
Oh, you didn't cry because you proposed? Say yes. How about that?
I did. I was like, yeah, I was.
No, I'm saying say yes to the proposal. That's what
I did say yes.
I'm talking to people just in general, like, you know.
But people care about that. Like your reaction to things matters, believe it or not. And there's an expected response. And when you don't give that expected response, you feel like it's something wrong with you. So I've lived in this space where like I need to have a certain response during some things. And when it doesn't happen, I really internalize that, like, oh, what's wrong with me? And I really wanted to get, like I told you, I was praying, asking God, like, whatever it is, break it off of me because I want to be able to have a quote unquote normal response. And I thought, well, maybe I'm just not I'm not that vulnerable with people to where, because like when I'm by myself, I can start thinking of something and reminisce, like, especially when it comes to my grandma, and the tears they'll flow. But it's like if somebody else is sharing in that space with me, I can't cry. I was so surprised the night that I cried with you.
Yeah, you were really uncomfortable too.
Super.
Yeah.
Like uncomfortable is not even the word. Like I was completely out of my element.
I can tell you really bothered that you cried in front of me.
I was.
And I was trying to like show like, yo, it's me. Like I cry all the time. Like, you know. But like, man, that brings me back to just the whole like beginning of our relationship. And I think I'm used to operating in a space in relationships in general. Mm-hmm. And I think for whatever reason, the type of girl that I was used to prior to our relationship was a more emotional girl. You know what I'm saying? And because of who I am naturally, that was such a big part of the relationship.
Crying together?
No, them coming to me with issues.
Oh, okay.
Like it would not be irregular for a girl to come to me and say, I'm dealing with this. And I start speaking and trying to encourage, and they end up crying or something. Like I was so used to that. Or they call me mid meltdown, like, can I talk to you?
I've seen that.
Like that's normal for me, and not just in romantic relationships, just in general. Like I'm usually the person that people call when there's a problem. Now you're different.
Thank you.
I think a big I'm sorry, I just tore your knee up.
Okay.
I think a big piece of your context is a need to be in control, not of the situation, not of the scenario, but you stay in control of yourself. You know what I'm saying? When there's something going, like for instance with the accident, I think it's very more instinctual for you in that moment. Okay, are you okay? He's okay. All right, Michael showed up. Calm down. Like I have to control this scenario. I gotta, you know what I'm saying? Like that's how your emotions come out. How can I use my wiring to help this scenario? You know what I mean? That's how you're created, and that's your gift. It's literally your job.
Yeah, that's very true.
You know what I mean? All right, this is a mess. How can I fix it? You know what I'm saying? That's how you're created. It's a gift, and it also, I think it bleeds into how you step into your own personal crises. Yes. You know what I mean?
100%. Yeah, I'm definitely not the fall apart and somebody gonna come and help put it back together type of person.
Here's food for thought. I'm not gonna therapize you.
Too late.
But food for thought is just, you just want to make sure that doesn't bleed into you processing things adequately, right? Death in the family, something terrible happening to somebody you love, somebody does something to you that hurts you, you're wired to, okay, this is the scenario, this is the problem. What can I do to function, repair, or to move forward in the midst of all of this? That's your first instinct. Tore this mic up. That's your first instinct. I did my preacher clap. Tore this mic up. That's your first instinct.
Yes.
Now, you don't want to be so hyper-focused on that you don't have your Jesus wept moment. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I hear you.
Yeah. I don't know if that's the case or not. It's just, I know you.
Yeah.
I know you.
I don't foresee it ever. I mean, there are certain things that, I mean, I think you're just going to cry about. You know what I'm saying? But in my head, I believe a lot of what you said is very true in the fact that I want to try to make sure that things are okay, right? Taking care of when my grandmother passed away, my aunts was busy doing stuff. My mom was falling apart. My son was falling apart. My brother was falling apart. So it's like, you don't even have space to fall apart in this moment, right? Like, you have to be the one to get everybody at least into the point of the funeral where we can then have our emotions and everybody go eat and go home and have fun. Mm-hmm. So I was really, instead of being focused on myself, I was focused on everybody else. And I believe that is how I process a lot of things. Like with the accident, I got there, you're okay. Okay, back up, let the people do their job. You grab the stuff, go home. I'll call you. Everybody, I'm calling everybody. Like, I'm calling your mom, your pastor,
you're
everybody.
Busying yourself.
Yeah, like, okay, these things need to be done. They need to know you're okay. We need to go to the hospital. We need to.
I was in awe. Like, when the insurance people called about the incident, your recall was mind blowing. I was like, wow. You're like, having on this thing, you were going east on North Street. You were da-da-da-da. The car was located at, you had the address of, I knew the name of the towing company, place. Yeah. I said, oh, it's at George's. You said, tell him it's blah, 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 blah. Like, wow. like it was really impressive. I was like, this is crazy. Like, how does she know all of this stuff? You had pictures and everything. People were coming to me like, hey, you got to make sure you do this, you do this, do that. It was like, oh, Brandy already did that. Do you say pictures? Brandy did that. Or you got to send it to the insurance people, though. Brandy did that. It's like,
before we left the hospital.
Like,
it started the claim, uploaded the pictures, all that.
Now, that is amazing.
Thank you.
But as you're talking, I keep seeing my mom.
Yeah.
I keep seeing my mom all this weekend. Oh, I gotta go view the body. I gotta do this. I gotta type the obituary. I gotta make sure my mom's okay. And I see you. I know all of this has to be done, but I know you feel things. And I think most of it came out in the 10-hour ride home.
Oh, on your mom. For your mom.
Yeah, I think more of it came down this. Why we always got to, we got to stop, hurry up. And
yeah,
you're irritable, you're frustrated. I know my mom and I know how her normal default setting is. Mm-hmm. This ain't it.
Yeah.
So where is this coming from?
Yeah.
I don't know. But if I just from that side looking in, I know we just came from an emotional situation. Mm-hmm. And there's an area, like, even though you tuck them away, they're going to come out somehow. Yeah, you know what I mean? I
do think the people closest to you will get the brunt of, at least for me, when they are ready to come out. Because now, 2 weeks later, it doesn't even seem feasible that I'm crying about the accident that happened, right?
Especially when I'm okay.
So, so now it's like, I'm short, I'm frustrated, I need to be by myself. Like, I just need some alone time because I have to process that. Now, what I don't know is if one is better than the other, because I've seen people who are the exact opposite, where they're so emotional that they can't function. They can't move past the moment. They're just stuck in grief, or they're stuck in disappointment or depression, and their feelings, their emotions consume them, and then they're not able to, like, your life is falling apart because you're sad. Mm-hmm. I am able to still function. I'm able to still get things done, even though I might be sad or I might be feeling a little depressed or whatever. But when I take those moments and just kind of process, okay, what are you feeling? What's going on? I think for me, I'm more internal with that. I think I said that on the last episode. I'm just not going to be the one that's like, look, this is what I'm feeling. Can you help me? What are your words of advice? Like, I can self-talk most of the time.
Yeah.
And when I can't, the first person I run into is God. Like, I'm like, I need to just, and that's, I think, some of the things that we see in church where it's just like, I'm just laid out, and everything that I'm carrying, I'm now passing on to you to be like, take it so I don't have to bear this burden. But I do feel like it will put up, and I think you said this in the last episode, like, you don't feel like I'm the first person that you come to in those moments. And I think it creates a dynamic within our relationship. Yeah, I think it creates a dynamic in our relationship that feels like I'm not vulnerable with you. When it's truly just not the way that I process things.
And you know what, though? You said something to the same effect about me on that episode. You said you feel like, I think when we talked about vulnerability between us, you gave us like a 4.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
You said you don't feel like I'm vulnerable with you.
Yeah, now I feel like you, and maybe vulnerable is not the word I should use. Maybe it's like comfortability, but you can share all the emotions and cry and do all those things. Don't get mad at me for saying this, but you like can't be naked in front of me. But
hold on. You make that about you.
I know it's not necessarily like you doing it with me, but it's things about me that I'm not comfortable with either that I just bear to you, and I just feel like
no. What I'm saying is before we remember, I never was naked.
I understand what you're saying.
Like, if I had to change my beater, I took it off and put another one on.
I get that.
Like, and this is big people across the world. Like,
no, it's not all big people, because some people are very comfortable with themselves.
Very much so, but there's a lot of big people who know what I'm talking about. The ones who might see yourself differently than how you look. Like, you have a vision for yourself that isn't what you see. You don't like seeing what it is. So you make it seem like I don't want to be naked in front of you. I'm not naked ever. Even in my personal life, when I get out the shower, when I lived alone in my own apartment, I took the clothes into the bathroom with me. When I got the shower, I dried off and put on underwear and a beater. That is as naked as I am. So it's not like I don't want to be naked in front of you. I don't want to be naked ever.
Listen, I understand. I mean, all of our stuff is like personal stuff, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's something that we deal with each other, but we don't let people into that space. Like, I have things by myself that I am uncomfortable with too, but I let you in that space. Like, I talked to you when we first got together about how I feel about my time of the month. The things that I went through as a kid where I was made to feel embarrassed and very shamed. So I started my period when I was 9, almost 10. So it's like 4th, 5th grade, right? And nobody else during that time was doing that. So I was very discreet. I felt like I had to hide it at home. My brother's father was in the home, and I wasn't comfortable with him. So going in the bathroom and changing, I wasn't doing that. I was doing it in my room and like putting the things up in my closet. My mom found it and just read me the riot act and embarrassed me to the point where I was just like, I hate being a girl and I never want to go through this again. So from that moment forward, anything that happened around my period, like, I was super secretive about, even with my partners. I said, this is the first time that I actually like was in the room with you and put a panty liner on. And all of the things that I've been through, like having a baby and all of that, I've never been that intimate with somebody. So it's stuff that I still deal with. It's me, but I open it up to us, in the space. That. So that's what I was saying, like being vulnerable with each other. Even though you're not comfortable, you're not happy with it or whatever, you still give that to me. That.
Yeah.
You don't, but okay.
Hot tub in the honeymoon, shirtless. At your request, I did it.
At my request, though.
The other night, massage. Took my shirt off. No fight, no nothing. Just took my shirt off. You gave me a massage. A little bit of a fight. I slept shirtless that night.
You did. I was very proud of you. I commended you for that.
You didn't ask that, babe. Sleep shirt. You didn't have to do that.
I commended you for that.
But you got. This is what I'm saying. It has nothing to do with the vulnerability with you.
Okay.
Because I don't do that with me. It's more so of a personal vulnerability. That's what I'm saying is, even if I wasn't with you, I wouldn't be walking around naked. I wouldn't be in my room naked. I wouldn't be sleeping naked. So it's not a me and you issue. It's a more of just a me thing.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I mean, I think we see it differently, but I can respect your stance on that and your perspective. Absolutely. But as someone in a relationship with you, I'm sharing to you what it feels like. And I think the same when we were talking about emotions and things like that. Like, I don't know if it's, and that's why I gave us such a low score, is because that
score was mad harsh.
I haven't tapped into the reasoning behind that. Because there are moments where, and you've seen it, where we're talking or something and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm getting emotional. Like, and I immediately like cracking a joke or brushing it off. And you're like, no, what is that? Let that out. But I won't do it.
Yeah, because now, I've got my take. You've heard my take.
I have.
I think you're extremely emotional. I think you show your emotions in safe spaces.
So are you saying that I don't yet feel safe with you?
Emotionally, not completely, no.
I can receive that.
Church all the way. With God, 100%. And that's why I saw it like, oh, every Sunday you cry here.
Not every Sunday.
If it's 4 Sundays in a month, out of the four Sundays,
I definitely cry 3.
2 out of 3. That's 50%, even if you don't do it 3.
Okay, your math is odd.
If it's 4 Sundays, if you're not doing it 3 times and it's just 2, that's...
I would say 3. 3 out of 4 times a Sunday, I cry.
So that shows me that you're in a safe space. There's nothing in you that says, don't cry, Brandy.
Don't cry here, yes.
That impulse to shut it off
absolutely
doesn't exist there.
That's very true.
Now, most of the time, the things that you're giving up to God or you're like, I just lay it at your feet are things that you dealt with from Monday to Saturday, but waited till Sunday. Not consciously. I don't think you're saying, I got to wait till Sunday so I can deal with this. I'm not saying you're doing that, but I am saying
I've busied myself Monday through
you've
Saturday.
Busied yourself. The impulse to not feel it or to not express it in that way is active Monday through Saturday. Sunday is not. Right?
I can receive that.
You know what I'm saying? So if you're with me and you feel something, the one time you cried in front of me, the feeling was not positive. It was very much so like, I don't, man, like it didn't feel like you felt good about it. It was definitely like it seemed like, man.
In that instance, particular, I don't think it was the crying. It was the reason I was crying, because at that point, so it was stuff with my dad, and I really thought that I had got to a point where that wasn't emotionally affecting me anymore. But all it took was a simple conversation for me to realize that, there's still some stuff there. And I think that's where the emotions were coming from. So I was more upset that what I thought the healing that had happened in that space had not happened. And I'm like, God, why am I still crying about this at 37? Like, it just doesn't make sense to me.
Well, I think a common thought a lot of people have is that feelings equates to not healing. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes.
You know what I mean?
Kind of, yeah.
So it's like, if I still feel
it doesn't mean
something about the scenario, that means I haven't healed from it. And that's just not the case. There's people who are healed from losing a loved one, but the thought of their loved one not being here will forever bring about a tear to their eye. Doesn't mean that they're not healed and that they can't move forward, but it's just, this is something that's sad.
Yeah.
Like, it's sad that this happened to you. It should, you know what I mean? You could be at peace with it and still feel the feelings of it. I think that can be very true. I think that's a duality that people live with. Once again, I reference the Jesus wept story a lot when I talk about processing emotions. Jesus already had the power to solve the problem. He could have solved it before he shed a tear. Lazarus is dead. Everyone's weeping. And instead of, Lazarus, get up. He wept and cried. And then when he was finished, he raised Lazarus from the dead. So those dualities exist. There's a tension there. Yes, I know I've got the power in my hands to solve it. It's already done. I came here knowing what I was about to do. I'm all knowing. I'm omniscient. I know what's happening. I know what I'm about to do. And that already is existing. I know the result. But it's so sad that Lazarus has died. It's so sad that my family's feeling these things. I'm so sad that all of these people that I love and I care are sitting in this room and they're crying. And I can deal with this emotion. I have the ability to solve it at the same time. And those things can exist. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can be abused, be healed, whole, move forward. And if you think about what happened to you, you can still cry for that child who suffered at the hands of that abuse. That doesn't mean you're not healed. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean that person has power over you. That just means that you're crying for that little boy or that little girl that's inside of you. And I think those things can exist at the same time.
That's good.
You know what I'm saying?
I thank you for your TED Talk.
See, that's what you do. You see that right there? That is exactly it. That is exactly it. I remember this moment. It was very early in our relationship, and I think we just talk in a way. We was what they never told us, and way before what they never told us. We was podcasting way before it was a podcast. Very true. But we were having these really deep, insightful conversations in our getting to know each other phase, and this is an area I think God has gifted me in being aware of emotions and, just like navigating people's emotions, right? So I can't remember how this came up, but I was like, I see something with you. And I think I had talked about something I saw inside of you emotionally, and it was around Dad and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And
I don't remember this.
Yeah, we was on the phone, and you got real quiet, and I got worried because I thought I offended you. Mm. And I said, "Are you okay? Like, did I say something wrong?" And you said, "It just bothers me that you see me like that, or it bothers me that you can see that in me." You know what I mean? So it wasn't like nah, that's not real. That's not accurate. But you just didn't like the fact that I could see it. You know what I'm saying? Now, this is early in our relationship, it wasn't like I was even like your man like that. You know what I'm saying? Our kids hadn't met. You know what I'm saying? We still don't get to know you phase.
Yeah.
But you cared about what people can see.
I think a little bit of that still exists. And I feel like we always talk about the strong friend. Like, she's the strong friend. She the one that, whatever. We can always
You're definitely the strong friend.
We come to all of our problems. And so in being the strong friend or the strong person in the family, it doesn't leave a lot of space for vulnerability. It doesn't leave a lot of space for you to not be the strong person when everybody around you sees you as that. So for you to have seen a soft spot or a vulnerability or a place where I am not so strong, it makes you feel exposed, right? And I'm not used to being exposed in that way because there is not space, or was not, because now that I have you, there is, but there was not space around me to sit in that vulnerability, to sit in those hurts and those disappointments. So I had done, to me, a fairly good job of masking those things. Mm-hmm. So the fact that you could see that was like, I don't like this. It makes me feel
we gotta rework open. The definition of strong. We gotta rework our definition of the word strong. We gotta rework our idea of the strong friend, the strong family member, because I know some people who are emotional, not wrecks, but they are extremely emotional. They always gonna cry, but they've dealt with rape, abuse, abandonment. They've dealt with grief and loss, and every day they get up and are functioning at a high level, thriving in the workplace, thriving in the classroom, thriving in relationships. They feel the weight of what they've been through, but do you know how strong you have to be to go through that hell and not be dependent on a vice or a drug or a drink?
Yes, I do.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that is incredibly strong. And we have to break the notion that expressing your emotions with tears is equal to weakness.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I it's easier said than done, but
especially when that's your whole programming.
Yeah.
Right. I believe wholeheartedly everything that you said. Yes, it's true. Crying does not equal weakness. But when I start to cry, I feel weak.
Stop it. Hey, shut it off. Hey, don't you dare. I wish you.
And I do that in my kids. Like
we all do.
When they start to cry, the first thing I'm like, what are you crying for? Shut up. This is not a moment where you should be crying.
All black people have repeated, stop crying
before I give you something to cry about. Period.
And that simultaneously threatens and invalidates their emotions.
Absolutely.
You just beat the black off of me.
This is something to cry
what
about.
What do you mean? Like, you're one of the most important people in my life and you just physically hurt me. Yeah, I probably had it coming. I shouldn't have did that, but that's a lot to process.
Absolutely. Especially as a child.
As a child, you're my main source of nurturing. Your love and care for me means everything to me. And most of us got a whooping and it brought up, there is a fly down here.
Maybe keep talking.
I'm sorry. It's driving me crazy.
Play through the pain.
But most of us go through that. You still love me? You know what I mean? When you're really young,
yeah.
Do you still love me?
That's
Are you mad at me? Like, am I okay? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then they talking to you while they whooping you. Didn't I tell you not to go in that cookie jar? Like, you know what I mean? Like they whooping you, talking to you.
And then say, stop crying. Dry up them tears before I hit you again or something like that.
You know what I'm saying? It's programming.
Nia has that really bad.
Yeah.
And I don't like she doesn't get whoopings.
Yeah.
So, but she has that. If she even senses that I'm upset, her first thing is like, "Mommy, are you mad at me? Mommy, do you not like me?"
She be playing you a little bit, but
little bit, but little bit.
She be playing you a little bit.
But because of discipline on the other side, I do wholeheartedly believe that her thinking that she's done something wrong equates to, oh my gosh, you're so mad at me that you're not going to want to talk to me, like you don't like me anymore.
Yeah.
And I can feel that because when I was getting disciplined, that didn't feel like love.
Lily was like that too. My daughter was like that.
Yeah, back then when my mom was beating the crap out of me, that didn't feel like she loved me a lot. I wasn't like, oh, she doing this because she loved me. No.
She is
I feel like you hate me.
She trying to kill me. She's trying to kill me.
It did not feel like love.
It did not feel like love. You just brought that back to my mind. My daughter used to do that all the time, and she was one of the ones. The relationship was so like my son was a little thug when he was a baby, so he was like he was
gonna fight back.
Yeah, you pop him, he can go.
That was Michael.
Do it again. Like, he's a little thug. Yeah. But my daughter was if I was disappointed, it would be, but do you still love me?
Yes.
Like I'm used to you having this affection and love for me. Now I'm feeling like you're angry with me.
Right.
Does that mean you don't love me? So a kid's trying to work through all of that. Now, when you don't have the verbals, because most people in the black family context with our origin of kind of where we come from, they don't get those conversations after the discipline.
Oh, not at all.
Like after the whooping, my apology was, you want something to eat.
You hungry.
You hungry. And if they felt like they did too much, it was like, I'm going to McDonald's. You want something? Like it was something I want.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Of course.
But we never got the conversation of, listen.
This is why you got discipline.
You know what I mean? Now, my dad, he was not the disciplinarian in the household. Not until I got bigger. Like when I became a teenager and my mama whooping was no more, and I was like, you done?
Yeah.
All right. Then that's when my dad stepped in, and that's when it was more aggression his way. But it always was a conversation afterwards. It might happen an hour later, but it was like, I need you to know that doesn't feel good to me. And I'm sick even thinking that I have to have an exchange like that with my own son, my namesake. Like this, how he's talking to me. And he's like, do you understand why I would even feel that way? And I'm like, no, because I made a mistake. If I didn't care about you, I wouldn't care nothing about the mistake. I love you. And you functioning in a way that is beneath you frustrates me. It bothers me. And I don't want to take my anger out on you. I don't want to discipline you from a place of anger, but I need you to know that I'm raising you. Like it's a conversation.
Yeah.
So now I'm not just left with, you punch me in my chest or you heat me up against the wall like this. Now it's, okay, this is what you did. And what you did was a disrespect to me, your mother, and how we've raised you. Let's work through why we had the exchange we had. Mm-hmm. Now I can process it. You know what I mean? But as I got older, I realized, not everybody has that. You know what I'm saying?
I'm sitting here like, you had all that conversation about a whooping?
That was after getting whooped all through my childhood. That was me at 16.
They gave you an explanation?
And that wasn't no whooping either. That was a ex NFL player who was about 400 pounds lifting me off my feet like this. My feet kicking.
I mean, literally got none of that. And then you tried to have a conversation, even if I did, like, it was like, don't ask me why. Number one, because I said so. You knew better. But like, obviously I didn't know better if I made this mistake. I think that in my house, it was definitely like the iron fist rule. Mm-hmm. You were going to get disciplined. You were not allowed to feel emotions about getting disciplined. And there was definitely not a conversation about why you got disciplined. Yeah. And I can clearly see how now in my adult age, when I have emotions about something that has happened, my first instinct just ain't to talk about it because nobody was ever talking about this stuff. Yeah. Like if you felt it, you get to go up in your room and you get to process your emotions. And that is clearly what I do now. I retreat to myself. Even if I'm around people, I'm inward and I'm processing what's happening and what I'm feeling versus just saying, hey, look, this is what I feel. I think in this relationship, I have definitely been able to be more verbal because I think in general, I'm just, let me tell you what I'm feeling type of person when it's not sadness or frustration or something like that. Yeah. But if I got an opinion, you gonna hear it. Yeah. And I now feel that it is acceptable within this relationship to have those types of conversations, but it is not easy at all to come to you and be like, I feel this. Number one,
why not?
I think there's still some dynamics between us that we've talked about that make me feel like you shouldn't feel that way.
Between us?
Yeah, we talked about that. Like sometimes when you say, I hope you know that I would never. Oh, those things make.
Can we explain a little bit for the people who don't know?
Absolutely. So there are times where, through whatever reason, just the course of life, we have a disagreement, and perception plays a large part on why the disagreement is happening. I perceive something to be happening. He perceives something to happen. When it's on his end where I feel like an offense has happened and I come to him and say, this is what I feel. You said, you did, whatever. Sometimes his response is, well, I hope you know me better than that. I hope you know the type of person that I am and that I would never. And it invalidates the fact that I feel like you did disrespect me. I feel like you did hurt my feelings. I feel like you did do that. And when you say, because of the type of person that I'm supposed to know that you are, that I can't feel that way. Yeah. As someone who it's already hard to come to you, and then that's the initial response that I get. It's like, all right, see, that's why I didn't want to say nothing in the first place. You ain't hearing nothing I'm saying. I feel this way. I know the type of person you are, and I know that you would never intentionally do that, but I still feel this way. Yeah. And if you can't see that, then there's really no point of me coming to talk to you.
Yeah. And I think for me in those scenarios where I was getting hurt, because it was like, yo, why would you think, like, if something was said or perceived like to be done in malice, in my mind, it's like, yo, do you really think I would do this to intentionally hurt you? Mm-hmm. And I can't remember what episode it was, but I do remember now where we were talking about how caring about how the person you love sees you. Yeah. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, I want to be seen accurately. And I think that's one of the most prevalent feelings I feel when we have disagreements. I feel unseen. I feel a little bit misunderstood. I'm like, yo, why would you think I would be the person that do that to you? But ultimately, it's like, you did something that affected me. So right now, let's create space to just sit in the fact that this is how I feel. Right. Right. Now, here's my thing. Once I apologize, I don't know how to, like, you know what I mean, reestablish my intention. Because I feel like there is some level of importance in that. Like, I feel like you need to know my intent, my intention. Like, so if I say something or I do something that you perceive as disrespectful, once I apologize, I need to know if there is room for me to reestablish what my true intent was with saying or doing X, Y, and Z. You know what I'm saying?
I think you are right in your statement of, I know the type of person that you are. I know you're not a disrespectful person. And I have our history tells me that you're not intentionally seeking to be malicious towards me.
Yeah.
That will always be in my mind. But that does not mean that we won't come up to situations where your reaction feels like disrespect. It doesn't take away or negate what I know about you. So I don't think that you have to reestablish.
No, I'm talking about scenarios where there's something specific that was said. Yeah. So if I say something that you misunderstand, if I say something that you have feelings about, like you were being smart with me, and I'm saying, you thought when I said that I was like saying it in jest or like in a mocking tone, and you say, yeah, I felt like you were like trying to be smart with me. If that truly was not my intent with saying that, once I get space, I'm sorry that I said, or that I'm sorry I made you feel that way. Where's the space to be like, I wasn't saying that to be like mocking or like just, I was literally communicating to you the information. You know what I'm saying? Like that in those scenarios.
Yeah, I think in those scenarios, the acknowledgement that something you said offended me is enough for me.
Because sometimes it's like, this is just the human side of it. I don't know if this is right or wrong, but sometimes apologizing for something, there are going to be times where you got to apologize for stuff that you don't even feel like you did wrong. And that's where humility is a piece.
Yes.
But then there is the piece where in our scenario, okay, where 9 times out of 10, the person who comes up, I'm sorry first, is me. There's a piece where it's like, no, like, hear me. That wasn't my intent. I want to know that there's space for me to be understood. I don't always want to take the low road. That's just human. I'm willing to, but I'm telling you over time, if I'm always the one that's like, you did this, you said this, man, I didn't mean to make you feel that way. I'm sorry. Like, if I'm always on that end of that will make anybody weary. You know what I'm saying? They say don't get weary in well doing, but hey, look here.
That's the word. So you shouldn't have no rebuttal.
It don't feel like I'm doing well. It said don't go weary. Word.
You shouldn't have no rebuttal for that.
It says in well doing. How? I don't know if this is what we're categorizing this. This don't feel like well doing to me. But no. There's 2 things that I'm learning in this marriage journey right now that are so important. The first one is humility, and we've talked about that before, like removing ego and a toxic idea of self away from the scenario is super important. And the other one is this, and it's humility. No, not humility. I'm sorry. Vulnerability. I just said that. Vulnerability. And I heard Tim Ross say like this when I was watching The Basement, and he said vulnerability is a superpower. And relationally, man, like in every relationship that I can think of, in every type of relationship I can think of, I cannot see, unless it's an unsafe space, I cannot see how vulnerability is not extremely powerful. In parenting, like we were just talking about with Braylon, it's very rare that I have to like be consequential. Most of the time it's just like a conversation. I might have to raise my voice, but most of the time it's like, you know, hey, don't do that, you know, whatever. If it gets to the point where it's like, hey, look, give me your Nintendo Switch. When you're ready to have a conversation about this, you can come back and we'll talk. What I love about that is that what I'm setting in place gives me a chance to process with him from a space where he's calmed down, because he's emotional like me. And I was just like him as a kid. When I got mad, it was like, you know what I mean? Like we turned up. But he's so emotional that I don't care nothing about the Nintendo Switch. I don't care nothing about that phone. Keep it.
Yes, he will sit.
I'll go downstairs. I'll fall asleep and take a nap. Eventually, when he wakes up, though, and he's doesn't care about what happened, he's calmed down. Now, when he comes back for the Nintendo Switch or the phone or whatever it is, now we have a space to talk about what happened from an unemotional place. And you can reestablish, hey, do you know why this was wrong, or do you know why I had you give me your cell phone or whatever it was? But it's a space of vulnerability. Let's remove emotion from it and let's deal with what happened. Let me show you my heart. Let me show you why I care. Why does this matter to me? In church on Sunday with God, that vulnerability is so important. David, all through the Psalms, like his prayers were not like,
oh Lord, where art thou? Help me. Like, I hate them. Kill all my enemies.
It wasn't
this
all
is
like,
what I'm feeling.
God, thank you for the trees. Thank you for the birds.
But I want you to wipe even their kids
Thank you
out.
for the turkey on the table. It was everything he felt, he laid it at God's feet.
Yes.
He didn't give much space for, is this right to say to God, or is it wrong that I'm feeling this way? It was just, God, this is what's inside of me. And our relationship is set up in a way that I'm going to give you my most vulnerable self. I know you know me better than anybody.
I can't hide it.
Ain't no point in me trying to hide it, God. Here's what I'm feeling. And in that vulnerability, God was able to use David in a way that he couldn't use nobody else in that time. You know what I'm saying? In this space, romantically, vulnerability, like I've never had a relationship like this. And it's in large part to, even though this area, according to you, is just a 4. Even with our 4.
We're in progress. We're loading.
Even with that, like, it's created the space for us to do so many dope things. This podcast does not exist without our vulnerability. You done talked about your menstrual. I done talked about my
STDs. I done laid all out there.
Look here. Like, we done talked about me not wanting to be in front of the mirror. We're much like we're it's vulnerability. And it's the only reason why us cutting on this camera and the thousands of people who cut on the camera and film a podcast has allowed us to connect with people all over the world because they're connecting with a vulnerable experience. There's a bunch of people watching this right now who like, I don't want to take my shirt off either, press. I feel that. There's a bunch of people quiet right now like, you know what? I felt like I should have cried then, but I just can't do it. But who has the guts to say it, to bring their most authentic self and expose and just be vulnerable? It's a gift.
Yeah. I mean, this platform does help tremendously with the level of vulnerability that I feel. I still have yet to cry on the podcast, but there's at least 3 episodes where I'm like, I'm getting emotional just thinking about it.
I see, shut it off. I'll be watching it back like, look at her. I'm gonna want you to think about it, but when I think about
But I mean, it does create a definite space. And I can say wholeheartedly that the feedback that we get overall is like, wow, nobody else is talking about this. Thank you for talking about it.
It's a process because we wasn't giving up like this in the beginning.
It's not easy. No, we was
season 1, we would film an episode. And if we went too deep, we'd be like, we got to do that over with because I'm not saying that on this podcast.
It was like, I cut this off. You cannot say that on camera.
The first time we did the sex episode, I was drenched in sweat.
It was so bad. And we didn't even talk about nothing. Like, we were literally like Teen Summit for...
It was just that program. We're going to talk about this on the actual sex episode. I hope we have the sexologist that comes in. I hope they really can help us navigate this conversation. But I was new to rededicating my life back to God. And in my mind, if I'm saved, how I used to talk about this over the last 6 years is so different to how I can do it now.
Yeah.
Because now I'm saved. How can I talk about sex now? Plus, we weren't married. So it's like... You know, all these heathens up here. Like, I just didn't know how to navigate the conversation. But, man, the more we just did it and the more we got comfortable in the space. And shout out to most of the people that tune in and give us feedback. They've made it a safe space for us.
Absolutely.
Because y'all don't just watch it and like it. Y'all leave comments like, I want you to know, like, this blessed me. Yeah. Y'all hit us up in the DM and be like, yo, I needed this.
And not to mention, it's like, you come here do 4 seasons in a year and a half every week, and you talk about dating, relationships. Like, at some point, you're going to have to scratch below the surface. You're going to have to, or you just going to be repeating the same stuff that you done said the last 3 episodes.
It's also like, bro, the stuff you're talking about, how does this apply to you?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I could say a bunch of like, I'm good at talking. I could talk for 30 minutes about a subject. But how does this connect? How have you had to deal with this? That's what makes it real. What's from the heart reaches the heart.
Absolutely.
So if you ain't being real, you're not going to get that response.
Yeah. So I need that to translate over into more of what we do personally. I think we can get here on the podcast and be as vulnerable as we like to, but I want to feel safe going there with you, because my emotional times are not just, I wanted to clear that up too. It's not just at church on Sunday. It is with God, period. If I go in the room, if I'm in the car and I'm having one-on-one commune with him, I will cry. But there's still something here that won't allow me to do that. And I really want to identify what that is. I don't want you to tell me.
I don't know what it is. I was about to say, I don't know what you want me to say. You got to figure that on your own.
I really do want to figure out what that is, because I feel like there's nothing that I can't talk to you about. And we do. We talk about everything.
Yeah.
But if I feel like, look, you about to show him
you've literally jumped
give
up.
Give it all to him.
You've literally felt yourself about to cry, jumped up, and ran to the bathroom. But we could be watching a movie about Tom Hanks.
What's that movie? A great actor.
Where's Otto? What's that movie we just saw?
Yeah, Otto. It's a great movie, by the way.
I can't believe I'm crying. I was like,
Sabi. What's the other one about the girl in Italy with her?
With Zoe Saldana?
Yeah, from scratch.
From scratch. Like,
bawling.
Like Boohoo and like best friends. I'm like, ain't this about a blip? Wow. But you gonna run to the bathroom with me. You gonna cry with Zoe and Tom, but not your boy. Okay, I see how you feel.
I don't know what it is. I'm sorry. I apologize.
But I do want to clarify. Like, once again, your expression does not minimize your feelings, because I still feel a ton wave of emotions from you. You don't have to cry for me to feel loved. You don't have to cry.
I got to get over that.
You know what I'm saying? For me to feel the weight of your emotions. Like, you express it verbally. You express it in how you treat me. You know what I'm saying? We were gone from each other this whole weekend. And I definitely feel like, man, we miss each other. Like, I felt that connection. So you don't have to cry to... Some people just, and somebody's gonna be like, yo, I'll never cry. You might just not be wired like that, bro. Like, if you can identify, man, like, this is making me sad. If you can identify that, you're good. You don't have to have tears come out of your eye. You don't have moisture come out your eye for you to like.
I need my whole family to watch this podcast, because we literally at my grandmother's funeral, like, man, you just so hard. You just like Granny. Like, you don't ever cry. Yeah. Like, well, I'm sad,
now what I just said does not apply to you, because you're extremely emotional.
I am, but I'm not. I don't know.
You just don't cry in the spaces that you're comfortable in. Look, hey, take it or leave it. You're emotional.
I am emotional.
You're just highly selective about where you let those emotions out at.
But emotional doesn't mean crying. I thought you just said that. Like, I'm very emotional, but it doesn't mean that I'm just going to be
not for some
everywhere.
people. Not for some people, but when you get emotional, you cry. Tom Hanks, Zoe Saldana, it's a movie. You felt sad emotions, you cried. You felt happy emotions, you cried. Tom Hanks, like, that shows on the average Sunday, when something stirs your soul or you're dealing with the emotions and the weight of God, you cry. Now, there's a deacon in that church who can feel all of those things, and he's just not going to cry because he's not wired like that. He can watch the same movies and be like, man, that's so beautiful, but he's not going to cry because he's just not wired like that. You are. You are. So if there's something that's stopping you from doing that in certain spaces, then it does deserve some, like, let me unpack that a little bit.
I need therapy.
You told me I need some therapy too.
I do agree that we should sign up. Well, I get it free at my job.
I'm game. I don't know. I just feel like I wouldn't have much to talk about.
It's not true. You got plenty to talk about.
I really don't think I have much to talk about.
I'm going to make us some appointments.
With it. Come on.
All right, let's go.
All right, y'all. The hour's drawn 9. I'm so glad to be back on the pod. Couple housekeeping things. Is it this
You want to go live on Thursday? Wednesday's your birthday.
Wednesday's my birthday. So we won't be live that day. So we'll be going live Thursday this week. So hopefully you've made to this point in the episode to where you know that. If not, Stay closer to Facebook. And if you have made this point up, so you're not hearing this anyway, so never mind. Spread the word. We're going live on Thursday on Facebook and YouTube. There's a week where we're not going live at all. Is that the week after that?
Yes.
Yeah. The week
I don't think there will be an episode.
Oh.
Nor shall we be going live. We're having intermission.
We're having mid-season break. Is that what they call them?
On a sabbatical.
We're going on a sabbatical. So, yeah, no, we're just going on a family vacation. So next week, there will be an episode and no live, right?
This week, episode drops on Tuesday. We're going to be going live on Thursday. The week after that, we will have a regularly scheduled program.
Yep.
The following week,
no episode.
No episode, no live.
Okay.
So you have 2 more episodes. This one and another one, and then nothing. So next week we'll also keep you abreast to what's happening.
Okay. That's what's up.
If you want to support the show, you can hit us up on our Cash App. It is $ what they never told us. You can also subscribe to our show. The link is in the description. It is as low as $3 a month, but if you want to give more, we will take it. You can also subscribe to our Instagram now. So we will start having exclusive content for people that are subscribed to our Instagram. We will be going live on Instagram. I did not clear that with Russell's, but since I said it on the podcast, it will be happening. We'll be going live on Instagram.
Yeah. OGs of the show know better than that.
For those that are subscribed. So just to offer a little bit more, and to get some one-on-one time with Russell and I. So if that's something that you're interested in, you can hop over to our Instagram. It is What They Never Told Us Pod, and subscribe so that you can be up to date on those exclusive drops.
Fellas, let me free y'all up real quick. This is random. Has absolutely to do with nothing. Here in Michigan, we have these coffee shops called Big B. It's like a Starbucks alternative, okay? Same concept. They got these drinks, right? And remember how I put y'all on with the petties, the pedicures, and how that feels amazing? This is another one. They got these drinks, right? And you can get them like glittery.
Yeah, you got glitter all over your lips right now.
Word?
Yeah.
You can get like sparkles on them. So it just made the drink real pretty, you feel me? So, fellas, like...
You should really cut this from...
Yo, fellas, like, you step out the box, man. Like, enjoy the aspects of life that they tell us we can't enjoy. Like, your drink can shine too, bro.
Sips tea.
Whatever. Because some of y'all, I was just telling her this. A lot of y'all who's judging right now, when T-Pain had all y'all drinking Nuvo back in the 2000s, y'all drinks was all glittery too. Okay? So don't do that.
You trying to justify it?
I am. This don't look, this is beautiful.
He definitely wants some sparkle.
You can't see it.
You want some sparkle in mine too?
You heard it here first.
It don't make the drink taste no better. It's just a good drink. You should go try it if you have a Big B near.
And it's a great aesthetic, okay? We're going. Love y'all. Happy birthday to me early. You feel me?
We did it, Joe.
Okay. Always remember that we love love.
And y'all should love too.
Peace.
Peace.